Thank you very much, Chrissy. It's lovely to be here today. Yes, Chubb Lithium is the focus of our work for the last year, but however, we had the opportunity to pivot a little bit into the Hammersley, and thanks very much for having me today. Obviously, disclaimer, come around and grab a copy of this presentation. My booth is just in the big room over there. Look, Burley Minerals has a few assets. Obviously, we have some lithium in Canada, including Chubb in Quebec, and we recently picked up some ground in Manitoba, and I'll get to that later on. In Western Australia, we have iron ore assets, including Broad Flat Well in the Hammersley, Cane Bore in the Hammersley province, and also Yurcoin just north of Perth. It's a magnetite project. So there is some value here, folks, and allow me to elaborate. But first, just a quick overview. Dicko is our chairman. Dave Crook, long-term LCT pegmatite geologist. He's on the board, and so is Jeff Brill, an experienced Perth businessman and leader. Look, about 100 million shares on offer. We had 2 million in the bank at the end of the quarter. Last week, we've been taking a bit of a hit in our share price, so there is certainly value here. So, Chubb Lithium, again, the focus of our work in the last 12 months. As you are all familiar, Quebec is now emerging as a Tier 1 lithium province, and Chubb Lithium is no exception in that region. We're right next door to North American Lithium, only 10 kilometers away, and merely 25 kilometers outside of Val-d'Or. Val-d'Or is, as I've referred to before, the Kalgoorlie of Quebec. It has a long history of mining, gold mining predominantly, and that dates back the better part of a century. So it's been very easy for us to get work done at Chubb this past year. Again, I can only illuminate, obviously, that we've got a mining community. We have all the skills and the service providers in town, contractors, drillers, etc. Again, sealed access all the way to site, basically within 3 kilometers. The site itself is sitting in a recently logged area. Rail networks in proximity. CN Rail runs through Val-d'Or and leads down to Montreal. And then from Montreal, you basically have access to the larger North American market. Prior to us acquiring Chubb, there was about 5,000 meters of drilling completed. It's been the lithium identification, or lithium was identified in this area decades ago, particularly at Chubb and further to the northeast at what is now North American Lithium. There's a series of spodumene-bearing pegmatite dikes that we have drilled into. That's striking over 600 meters. This mineralized zone is at least 240 meters wide. So it's really relatively easy to get to, as I mentioned before. You know, recently logged, lots of tracks around there, high line. So it really made our work a lot, or facilitated our work this past year. And for instance, when the fires raged in Quebec earlier in the year, or around sort of March, or rather April, May, we obviously had to pull out. As soon as the fire ban was lifted in early July, we were back on the ground the next day drilling. So it's been very easy to get work done, and certainly the people in Val-d'Or have been very responsive, including our contractors. Again, North American Lithium is only 10 kilometers from our claims, and we're encouraged to see that they are beginning to kick some goals in terms of their production. Of course, I think that they may be suffering as well with the current price. We've had a systematic approach to drilling Chubb and exploring Chubb. Again, there's 35 claims here over about 1,500 hectares, and very few of these claims have actually been explored. Just really that Chubb Central area has been explored previously. So earlier in the year, we sent one of our geologists, one of Dave Crook's proteges, to have a closer look at the northern area where we're seeing some of these pegmatite outcrops. They're sort of large, big pegmatite outcrops. And look, previously the the consensus was that this was barren ground. However, we had a better look at it. We ran the XRF, we picked up some rock chip samples, et cetera, and we discovered that this is actually all fertile. What we're seeing at obviously Chubb Central, just a few Ks to the south, isn't just fertile. This is obviously highly evolved LCT pegmatites. This is, we're getting large spodumene crystals, and indeed, as we reported late last year, we're getting some polysite as well, and I'll get to that in a moment. High-grade lithium, again, in our Chubb Central area. We finished some 13,000 meters of drilling towards the end of the year, getting some very, very encouraging intercepts, a solid above 1.2, 1.3% throughout that Chubb Central area in that main dike. Furthermore, we started some metallurgical test work on both high-grade and low-grade samples recovered from Chubb Central, and certainly some encouraging results on recoveries, pushing up towards 70% for high-grade and plus 60% for the lower-grade sample, and achieving that greater than 6% lithium concentrate, which is that standard product. Again, through what is a typical lithium or spodumene concentrate flow sheet, basically a dense media or heavy liquid separation program. Not much iron in it. They didn't recover a hell of a lot, so that is a good thing, which could eliminate the need for wet magnetic separators as well. So it does potentially simplify this flow sheet. Now, more interesting, and as I alluded to earlier on, these are highly evolved LCT pegmatites. And so we discovered polysite in one of the holes as we were drilling into the main dike as an extension program. Now, polysite is a cesium-bearing mineral. It's very rare. That is, you will get, obviously, in an LCT pegmatite, you'll get the lithium, cesium, tantalum. But generally speaking, cesium usually shows up at parts per million. When you start to see the cesium results that we have here, at above 1 and 2%, it recognizes that this is actually polysite mineralization. Polysite is the mineral that is pursued to produce cesium. Cesium is a relatively small market, but it's a valuable market. Now, just to give you an indication, the USGS reported that cesium was selling for, pure cesium that is, was selling for $117 a gram. So nearly, this was in 2023, so nearly 80% more than gold. Bottom line is, it tells us that this is a highly evolved pegmatite system, cesium's in it, which is a value adding. Again, back up to Chubb North just quickly. We've got large pegmatite outcrops that are fertile, ready for drilling. It's a big area, more than 200 hectares. We drilled a couple of holes into it. It extends more than 200 meters deep. It's fertile. It's ripe for the picking. We want to explore. Again, quickly, I heard the bell. Hammersley. So just Monday, we released some news about some rock chip samplings up at Broad Flat Well. CID deposit, high line, sitting close to existing infrastructure, the Roburn-Whitnam Road, 115 Ks from Karatha. So there is potential for a very good resource here, easy to access, above water table, easy to mine, close to port. Keep an eye on it. Furthermore, Cane Bore, slightly to the south, only 90 Ks outside of Onslow. CID is looking very similar, high line, ready to go. We've finished some flora and fauna, got our conservation management plan in, and now we're moving through the next stage of getting on the ground. Your coin, quickly. Magnetite, just north. Think DRI. It's very popular at the moment. Green steel. Come and see me. My booth is over here. I'm going to be here for the next 2 days. Thank you very much.